Hey there, I'm at Rough Draft Farmstead with Farmer Jesse, and we're gonna be going to the farmer's market today, and I never get to show you that because I don't go to farmers markets, but I'm gonna tag along with Jesse, and he's gonna give a bunch of tips and show you what that's like.
Wait, you're coming with me?
Wait, that's the plan, right? All right, so we're all packed up in the minivan here. What's the first order of business?
We gotta get bagels. I don't think you can do a farmer's market without bagels in your stomach.
All right, Jess, we got our bagels.
What are you gonna eat?
What? Jess, you just got a few bagels, huh?
I said you gotta fill your stomach with bagels.
All right, is that gonna hold you over? Is that gonna hold you over?
I hope so. I mean, it's not that far. I can come get more. This is our basic market setup. The thing that we have to do at our market is we have these specific signs that everybody has to have. It says the origin of where it came from. There, you know, we do have people who resell at our market, so everybody has to say where their stuff came from, the price, and you know that we're certified USDA organic. We sell everything at 1 for $3 or 2 for $5. That's everything that we grow pretty much. Sometimes in the fall or sometimes through tomato season, we'll change that up a little bit, but for the most part, everything is 1 for $3 and 2 for $5. And then and that just makes our pricing really easy. It's a very simple pricing structure. It's easy for the customer. It's easy for me when I'm busy and tired at the end of the week to just keep up with that math, and we can move customers in and out really quickly. And it's also good because we price everything at $2.50, but if somebody wants just one item, they pay $3 for it. So it's makes a little bit more money for that particular item. Yeah, and our setup is very specific. We have everything in this L over here because the sunlight comes in this way, and since we sell the majority of greens, we definitely want to keep the greens out of the sunlight. Some of it's in bags, some of it's loose, but either way we don't want it wilting, and plastic bags are essentially like little greenhouses. So when it comes to mixed greens, you want to keep that like out of the sun absolutely as much as possible. And then throughout the day, we're misting, we're moving stuff in and out of coolers, we're keeping it looking fresh. This table will look fresh all the way until the end of the day. And that's because we are constantly moving things around and making sure everything is stacked and fresh. Also, this setup, this is like old siding that from our old cabin. And some of it's cedar, some of it's sassafras, but we just made these two little, display cases for the vegetables, and it's worked out really well because it keeps everything segregated really easily. And then with this, like if you want to keep things looking fresh all day, instead of having just a big pile of something, we can do a partial pile here and then a partial pile here, so it looks like one massive pile, but that way you're not having to put as much produce out, because here in Kentucky, I mean, some of the days can be 95 degrees all day long from start to finish. And then we also use this, it's not the best solution, but it's actually been one that's worked really well, is this sticky tack. Instead of using tacks or thumbtacks, that keeps these down pretty well for the wind. And in terms of signage, like we have these, which we have to have, and then we also have our pricing signage and several places where it says certified organic, including our banner. And then we also have this, we're proud of the way we grow, ask us about our farm values, and people do ask us about those. We just talk about no tillage, we talk about being a family farm. We definitely want people to know that we grow the food and that we pick it, and that we care a lot about the soil and the ecology and the birds and all the things that go into it.
Do you think that being certified organic makes a difference for you at the market?
100%. If I was selling to restaurants or I was selling wholesale, I may not be as worried about being certified organic. At the farmer's market, it is an absolute instant customer base. Like if a lot of what you see at farmers markets is a lot of great growers who are not certified, and that's good. There should be people who are growing like that, and a lot of people don't agree with certification. But for us, it is an instant, especially when we first moved into this market 5 years ago. We needed something to get an instant customer base, and being certified organic, we got our farm certified really quickly, and that made all the difference. So, and we get thanked every day for being certified. Like people like that they can trust that they know we do all the things that are required of certified organic farming.
Okay, so we just gotta wait a little while and then we'll put out the produce right before the market opens.
Yeah, we wait all the way up until, you know, we keep it in the coolers absolutely as long as possible.
All right, can we go eat those bagels now?
Now we're gonna eat bagels.
All right, Jesse, so market's been open for a little while now, and just when you have a little bit of a break, you're just gonna constantly restock?
Constantly restock, refresh, spray down, make sure everything looks good, and say hi to everybody. Morning. I say all the time that saying hi to people probably brings in $10,000 a year. Just, they'll stop, they'll come back, they feel invited into your booth just by saying hello. It's like the most important thing. Not standing and saying hi. Or good morning. All right, so this is like roughly the, you know, we're pretty much down to the last hour of the market. We're just consolidating everything that hasn't sold yet, which is just a handful of beets, some carrots, some lettuce, and some green onions.
All right, so going from 2 tables down to 1 now.
Yeah, you just want to, if you go down to 1, it makes it look so much more robust. Like, if you have everything spread out and you only have a few things left, it doesn't have the same effect. It doesn't have the same bountiful effect. Like, one of the main tenets of market gardening is keep the pilot high and kiss it goodbye is the best explanation for it. But if you can't make it look that way, then it won't sell as well. If it doesn't look bounteous, it won't sell.
All right, so and then just as the market's going on, you're constantly restocking, consolidating, making it look full.
Yep, making stuff look fresh, full. Never, anytime you have anything wilted, you never want anything wilted on your table because it'll make the whole table look wilted. So we always are refreshing, spraying with water, making it look nice.
All right, so what do you do about like stuff like greens and stuff that doesn't like to be out in the heat? What are some tricks for that?
Yeah, switching it in and out of the cooler, keeping it fresh with water, flipping it over, just making sure that, you know, one side is not exposed to the air and the sun longer than another. And yeah, just staying on it. I mean, just watching it and restacking and refreshing. So we've consolidated everything down as best we can. And the trick with and we're down to the last 30 minutes of the market. The trick with the last 30 minutes of the market is that you can still sell stuff, but it's a challenge. So you have to keep everything looking fresh as long as you can right up to the end. And you'll be surprised, like sometimes we'll make $30 in the last 5 minutes of the market because we're the only people with anything left, the only people with anything looking fresh. So yeah, you gotta, if you have a good market that stays good all the way till 2, I think it's worth like taking a little extra time and making sure everything looks good and nothing looks wilted. Yep.
So glad I found Rough Draft Farmstead. Coming up here, we've walked past many tents with lots of beautiful, wonderful things, but this fine gentleman here is the first one to actually greet us with a wonderful hello, how are you? So we walked the whole farmers market and we came back because your wonderful customer service and of course your wonderful vegetables. Gotta have green onions every day with everything I eat, and beets are vital to life.
So you can see that's a new customer that really appreciated us chatting them up and saying hello and greeting them, and it makes a big difference. So keep that in mind. If you're at a farmer's market, make sure you're not just sitting there on your phone, that you're out talking to people and trying to greet them and chat them up, and it really invites them in and, you know, gets you some more sales. So we're just wrapping up here. We're almost done with the market, so we're about to start wrapping things up here. All right, so the market just closed, and Jesse likes to make a point of staying till the end of the market, and I have to agree that's a great move because I saw a bunch of sales come in right at the end, as long as you still have produce, and we almost sold out. We just had a little bit left over, but pretty good day here at the market, and we're gonna pack up and head back to Jesse's place. We're back from market, we got unloaded, and I have a few observations to make, and also Jesse has a few more tips to give you guys. But before we get to that, I need to take a minute to talk about today's show sponsor, which is Growing for Market magazine. Growing for Market is an incredible organization, and I really value not only what they do, but what they provide for the community. They have an online version and a print version of their magazine, and they also have an online archive of 1,600 articles. All the articles are written by growers and farmers that know a ton about this stuff, and really high-level stuff, and I always get really excited when it comes in the mail. And I just want to let you guys know that I also have a 25% off coupon code for you guys. I'll leave links down below for all their information. I really am thankful for, as I said, everything they provide for the community, but also for sponsoring this channel. All right, let's get Jesse in here and give you those conclusions and some more tips. Just want to talk a little bit more about markets in general. I noticed one thing was that there was a lot of cash sales. I expected there to be more credit cards.
Yeah.
I know you offer Square as a payment, but it's mostly cash sales, right?
I think it's, I don't know if that's an assumption on the customer's part that they go and they get money from the ATM, but we do a lot of cash business. And it's really great because it actually makes things really fast when you're dealing with cash as opposed to a credit card. Square has actually, I like their new little chip reader though. It is fast. But yeah, I mean, it's majority cash sales.
Which makes it even better for that 1 for 3, 2 for 5 model, because that's just so quick doing 5s and 10s and
yeah,
stuff.
5s and 10s. There's not a lot of 1s. I mean, we do, obviously some people buy $3 items, or some people buy 3 items if it's $8, or 5 items it's $13.
Right.
But for the most part, yeah, it's $5 or $10 sales, and it goes really fast.
All right, so I know we had a conversation too, and I want to talk a little bit more about competition at farmers markets. I know there's a lot more market gardeners out there, and farmers markets are becoming more common, and people are going to them more. Like, what have you found in terms of competition? I know you've been doing this for over a decade now, so.
Yeah, I mean, competition grows every year, and we welcome it. We welcome competition, you know, ourselves, but we've noticed, like, there's more people growing the crops that we've often been able to utilize all summer, like lettuce and carrots and those sorts of things that originally, when we came into this market, we were the only ones really doing that. And now there are several people that do that, and they all do it really well, and it's a good thing. But it means that as market gardeners, we have to constantly be thinking, like, okay, how can we add a new thing to our mix? How can we how can we stay competitive? So, you know, we're always thinking about, like, on this new farm, we're putting in more perennials, so blueberries, pear trees, we're going to put in some rhubarb and some asparagus, and those are the kind of things that we're starting to think about, adding a couple new items to the table so that when people are there buying strawberries or buying blueberries or buying asparagus, they're buying our lettuce and they're buying our carrots more. And that isn't to say that we want to take away business from other people, but I like that element of competition because it also brings about a need for more diversity on our farms. It makes me a better grower. It makes me think more about presentation. It makes me think more about, the quality of the crops that we're growing, the types of crops we're growing, my communication with the consumers. I think a lot about those things because a big part of what I do and what I enjoy doing is the salesman part. I really get into that. That's a lot of fun for me. So thinking about, like, how am I meeting the needs of our consumers? And yeah, and sometimes, I mean, that relationship is another really important part of selling your food, because if you're not building that relationship, it's not going to move those carrots any better than anyone else down the line.
So the competition's good because it kind of makes you up your game, like better quality, better customer service, better building relationships, and also, you know, you're thinking about new market gardeners coming into a market, like if they have lettuce, carrots, and whatever else you're growing, and yours looks pretty similar, like you either have to have better quality. You don't really want to undersell them in cost, but yeah, it just makes you, I think that's a good idea to, like, have more diversity with longer term crops, because those are things you can't just, if it's your first or second year market gardening, like, you can't just jump into that stuff.
Yeah, what makes yours stand out? Like, right. What about your booth? Why would a consumer buy yours? It may be the display, like we talked about. We bring that big wooden display, and it's heavy and it's cumbersome and it takes up space, but it makes our booth stand out a little bit. And, you know, cleanliness, keeping the tables clean, greeting every single person that walks by.
Yeah, we noticed that was a huge thing. All right, so I want to ask you one other thing. So some weeks you have less than stellar produce, or you have issues with something. Like, talk about what happened this week, and, like, how do you overcome that? Yeah, I mean, some weeks everything's great, and it's, like, the most beautiful week, you know, and everything's great on the table. And then there are weeks, like, we've had 13 days in a row of rain recently, and it started killing some of our carrots. So we decided on 3 beds just to pull everything early and have baby carrots this week. So we know other of our friends who were also bringing carrots to the market had really big, beautiful carrots. So we have these nice kind of small baby carrots, and we're like, okay, so how do we sell them? Like, how do we make this
unique? Like, how do we make this a product that, you know, even though it's not the big classic carrot, it's kind of a funky small carrot. Like, how do we get people excited about that?
I think explaining to the customers too, and actually telling them what happened, the issue with too much rain, and trying to let them understand a little bit about farming too. And they're like, oh, that makes sense. Cool, we'll do baby carrots this week.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also sold it as a good thing, because it is. Like, baby carrots are delicious. Cool. And I would tell them, like, we pulled it early because the baby carrots are delicious.
Cool. I feel like, Jesse, you could probably do a whole course on, like,
oh my gosh,
on farmers markets. But I think it was a great start for people, just to get people behind the scenes a little bit. And yeah, maybe we'll do a follow-up if people have more questions, or maybe later in the season or something. So
yeah,
thanks for having me, let me tag along, Jesse.
Yeah, that was fun.
All right, guys, make sure you like this video if you like this video.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and make sure you subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
You ready to wash some bins now, Josh?
Yeah, let's go.
It's YouTube, bro.
All right. All right, all right, stop laughing so I can.
Lion face.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Okay.
Come like over here so it sounds better.
Am I off frame still?
Yeah. Oh, so you're good.
Yeah. I'm on a bridge, so it's a little loud. You wait a second. Do I need to do it again?
No.